Of all the things that I'm irrationally upset about, the use of the word cozy is number one on my list right now. People are starting to use cozy as a pursuit and not just an adjective, and it makes me really mad, especially when fine words like arpeggio are out there when people have no idea how to use them. So today we're going to add some class to your playing because we're going to talk about arpeggios and how they might be more than what you actually think they are, okay? So I think the easiest way to explain an arpeggio is taking a chord and playing it one note at a time. Let's say we have like an A minor chord, right? Open A, 2D, 2G, 1B, open E. You can just start on the A string and go. Just play them one note at a time, and that's all you have to do, right? That's an arpeggio. You usually go up and down, and that can sound, fine, but I think that starts to get a little bland. That's more of a way of just playing a chord on a guitar, and while technically that's an arpeggio, I think you miss out on what the actual benefits of the technique are. So to do this correctly, or to do this, get the most out of it, I think you do have to look at it as a scale first, right? The two ways of doing it is using it as numbers in a scale or chord degrees. All right, so what I mean by that is let's just take a really simple scale. Let's take G major, and let's take it doing the 3 notes the string way, even though you don't have to do this, and you don't even have to play it like this, but it's good. It's easier to see in your mind, right? So if I play the major scale starting on a G, it sounds like this. Okay, really simple. There's 7 notes, and I can turn it into a hand shape that I can repeat all over the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So what we do when we have the numbers, we can start spelling chords out. If you wanted to make a major chord for major scale, you just take notes 1, 3, and 5. So it just goes 1, skip 2, go to 3, skip 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. And then you can add cool things like slides to get from that 1, slide from 2 to 3, slide from 4 to 5, however you want to do it, okay? So in this pattern, it's easy. 3E, 7E, 5A, and then I can go down and start the same thing again. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. And you can go all over, right? As long as you just know how to get those numbers out of there. Next thing to do would be add the 7th note. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1. And then it's like, all right, once you get familiar with where those numbers are in a scale, then you can kind of start to explore them, right? So 1, 3, 5, 7. It's like, okay, well now you're just kind of actually exploring guitar. You're not even playing technically an arpeggio, but that came from playing an arpeggio, thinking about those notes in a scale, right? And then you can do other stuff too. You don't have to ever play them in order. You can be like, all right, well I want to play a major 7 arpeggio, so there's my 1, my 3, my 5, my 7, and then my octave, which is that first note again, right? Maybe I want to go 1, 7, 5, 3. Maybe you have like a little riff or something that you can make from that. And that's all just from that one scale, okay? And now the major scale is the parent scale that really lords over everything. There are other modes within it, but the nice thing about how the chords are set up within a scale, there are different notes that will have their own 1, 3, 5s that connect. Like for what I mean by that is like, all right, so here's that G, 1, 3, 5, and that just becomes 1 root note, and then either going 4 frets higher, and then down and back 2 frets, or if you want to play the major scale like this, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. No matter how you play the major scale, whether it's kind of traditional or the 3 notes the string way, that is always going to give you the 1 and the 3 and the 5 in the same way, right? So C major is another chord in this key, another major chord in this key. So we just have to find a C, 3rd fret on the A string, and then 1, 3, 5 from there. The great thing about that is, and using scales like this, is when you come across a C major, you can just, in your mind's eye, switch to a C major scale, even though you're still in the key of G, right? When you're playing an arpeggio, it's not like you have to think of like an entire key change, because the shapes are always going to line up as long as you're playing the chords. That if the chords sound good together, the arpeggios are going to sound good together, is basically the gist of that, right? So that's just the major arpeggio. In any key, there are 3 major chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5. So that's why these numbers are really important, especially when it comes to arpeggios, because not only does it give you the notes that are in the chord, but it also gives you the chords that are in the key, which is why it's super, super important to know your scale degrees, right? So it's like, all right, I can do that 1, 3, 5 arpeggio thing starting on the 4 chord. What that means is I just have to go through that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I start on here, 1, 3, 5, from the 4. And that's where it can kind of get confusing and like daunting. Like, all right, well, play me a 1, 3, 5, 7 starting on the 4. That's like you're getting into like trying to make a cozy fireplace on Instagram. It's like you're losing me, totally lost me. But really, thinking of it as a shape first helps you find all those numbers later, because the shape will give you the numbers, right? And I think that's what's really important to kind of think about, because a lot of people learn in different ways. Some people learn in shapes a lot easier than they learn in numbers. Some people learn in numbers a lot easier than they learn in shapes. But arpeggios are the perfect way to kind of bridge those things together. Speaking of bridging, how about we go on the bridge pickup of this awesome Epiphone Matt Heafy signature edition with the custom Fishman pickups. They're the sponsor of today's video. Sweetwater sent this guitar over, and it's absolutely awesome. Each one of these knobs is push-pull. You can pull them all out, because there are so many different voicings you can get with these. These can be active. These can be passive. They're Fishman Fluence pickups, but they're voiced for the Trivium guitarist, Matt Heafy. This is not going to be a metal-sounding lesson, but I am using this for some metal stuff that you're going to see coming up if you follow the channel. So definitely thank you to Sweetwater for sending this over. Plus, it's just like a sick-looking Les Paul body. Look at that. Just white with the binding and the black hardware or the gold hardware and the black. So nice. Definitely not getting cozy with this guitar. This is a real one here. So what we haven't talked about are minor arpeggios, okay? As far as just the chord goes, the only difference is going to be that 3rd. Minor chords and the minor scale has a flat 3. So a chord that would go along with G major would be A minor, like we did at the very beginning. So what we can do is we can go to that G, A, maybe that 2nd note right there, and then we have the same thing, but instead of going 1, 3, 5, we go 1, flat 3, 5. So a flat 3 is only 3 frets higher than the root note, which, if you actually change strings, and which was what I really like to do with minor arpeggios, you just go down and back 2 frets. See, so there's A, it's minor 3rd, A to C, or A, it's minor 3rd here. And then we're always going to end up on the 5th, whether it's major or minor. Okay, so 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Same thing. Then we kind of just keep going all the way down through the neck, right? Now that's what's really interesting about the minor thirds and major thirds. If you see that G chord, right, it's really consisting of 2 intervals. A major third, which is 4 frets, and then from the 3 to the 5 is actually a minor third, from the 7th fret on the E string to the 5th fret on the A string. Okay, so that's why these intervals really start to make a lot of sense. And I think it was really using arpeggios that made me understand. It's like, oh, a major chord is just a major third and then a minor third, whereas a minor chord is a minor third and then a major third. So really you only have to change that note in the middle, that third, for the purposes of hitting a major or minor arpeggio, okay? Now, one of my favorite arpeggios to turn into a lick would be a minor 7 arpeggio. Basically, you just take the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 7 from the minor scale, right, to spell out like a minor chord. So let's do it on A again. Let's go 1, 3, 5, 7. It makes this kind of diamond shape, where there's your 1, there's your 3, again, a major third from there, and then a minor third from there. 1, 3, 5, 7. And then you can repeat that all over the neck. I think that one sounds good to close it on the octave. That just sounds good as a riff by itself. Right? And that's a much more musical way of just playing A minor, right? See how there's like a difference, but you can kind of like use those cool sliding and hammer-on techniques. So then eventually what you get into the point of doing is like, all right, I just want to like add to my arpeggio vocabulary. Let's say you want to make like a major 9 chord or something like that. Now you can spell the chord out. Major 9 is just a major chord that the next step after being a triad would be a 7 chord, major 7 chord like we did. The next step there would be a major 9 chord. So if we were to spell it, it'd be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. We stack chords in thirds, which basically just means that we're just going major thirds to minor thirds all throughout a key, and we're just skipping notes in the key. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So if you know that G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's all you really need to know because you can go 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I think that's one of my favorite arpeggios to do because it's kind of like a fun one. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then maybe kind of do like a little hammer on 6 to 5. So even though that was a major 9 arpeggio, I'm adding the 6 there because I know that's from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 9. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So just kind of a primer on arpeggios because there is some confusion as far as how people play them, and I think that's just a good example of how you can really get your playing up to speed. Thank you to Sweetwater and Fishman for sending over the Heafy Signature Edition. I will have an affiliate link in the description. Such a gorgeous guitar, and it's actually pretty inexpensive compared to like a lot of other guitars in this price range with active pickups. The Fishman Fluence ones, I'm sure you've probably heard of them because everybody raves about them. So, thanks for watching. Stay cozy out there. Let me know if you have any questions.